All right. Hello, arty peoples, and welcome to another episode of Jerry's Live. My name is Emmy Klein, and I'm your host this evening. And as you can see, we have some things going on. Today, I have the fantastic Kevin Greeland, who is the Education Program Manager for Golden Artist Colors with me tonight. I'm very excited. He has an awesome demo ready for us. So today, the class is Jerry's Live 192. So if you see anything that Kevin is using and you're interested in it, make sure to go to the website jerry'sartarama.com and type in the search bar the code JL192, and that should pull up a teacher's cart with all of the items that he's using. So you can very easily find it that way, but I'm not going to jibber jabber too much, and I'm just going to hand it on over to you, Kevin. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, and welcome to Golden Artist Colors. Today, we're going to be talking about our new line of matte acrylics called SoFlat. So let's go ahead and switch the camera to overhead. So you can see we have a color chart. We have 40 new colors, and they're mostly rated opaque and semi-opaque. The ones that are rated semi-opaque are the fluorescents, but they are more opaque than our fluorescents in our regular line. What makes SoFlat unique is that they are indeed matte, more leveling, and more flat. So let's get some color out. We have a panel here that we prepared with 2 coats of gesso, and we can talk about the consistency of the SoFlat. Well, SoFlat comes in 3 different sizes, and this is the largest size. So I'm going to put this on a palette knife and let it kind of run out for you so you can see the consistency. It's a little thicker than our fluids, but softer than our heavy body. And we'll do some with the palette knife and then some with the brush, just to give you an idea. And this is the naphtha pink that I'm using, and I'm blending it with our cobalt teal. And again, this is on a wood birch panel prepared with 2 coats of gesso. So we get a lot of questions about, can we mix these products, the SoFlat, with our other products? And the answer is yes. The thing to remember is that will impact the sheen of the other paint. And I have a couple of boards I can show you. Let's move this out of the way, and we'll look at these. This is the Quin Magenta, and this is our fluid. And this is the SoFlat Cadmium Orange. And I painted this area with the cadmium orange here, and then this area with the Quin Magenta in the fluid. And so if I flick this in the light, you can see that flash of gloss across the fluid compared to no flash from the SoFlat. Here, this mixture, we started with an introduction of 25% of the Cad Orange to the Quin Magenta, and then just went down increasing. And so you can see how that gloss changes with the more fluid that you add. So yes, you can mix our SoFlat colors with our other acrylics, but it will affect the sheen. And I have another example. So this is using our phthalo blue. And what I've done is I've painted this side with the phthalo blue in the SoFlat. And then I've used our heavy body, our fluid, our open, and our high flow in the phthalo blue. So again, you can see between the SoFlat, which is on this side, very flat, breaking across that light. You don't see a lot of the brush stroke. You don't get a lot of feedback from the light compared to our heavy body, our fluid, the open, and the high flow. And then I've also gone ahead and I've mixed it with a little bit of yellow to create this green shade. So again, it's the same idea, using our traditional heavy body or open or fluids. We can mix those, but remember, it will change the sheen. Okay. put the cap on this. The other thing to keep in mind, if you mix this with other products, for example, here we're using our soft gel gloss and we use the SoFlat Cerulean Blue. On this one, we painted the board first with the cerulean blue in the SoFlat and then just placed a stencil on top and we used the soft gel gloss. You can see again, if I flip that in the light, you can see the contrast between the matte acrylic and soft gel gloss on top of that stencil. So it really is very matte. This one we did in reverse. We put the soft gel gloss on first and then used the SoFlat as the material over top of the stencil. So just in reverse. So matte and gloss. And again, you can see that in the light. And then this one, you'll see no reflection of light back. And that's because it is 2 coats of SoFlat. So we just simply used the cerulean blue and then mixed it with a little bit of SoFlat titanium white. And both are matte with no reflection of gloss. With these 40 colors, we have the fluorescent. So I'm going to show you this fluorescent pink mixed with the soft gel gloss. So again, as I said, depending on the product that you're using, it will change the sheen or impact how matte that is. So in this case, I painted the background with our turquoise SoFlat, and then I mixed the SoFlat fluorescent pink with our soft gel gloss. And so you can see that gloss is cut down a little bit. It's not as shiny, but it is certainly more shiny than the paint by itself. This one is mixing the SoFlat with one of our pastes, and here we've used light molding paste. So we mixed the SoFlat with the light molding paste. Again, all compatible across the brand. You can mix them. Just remember that that mixing combination can change the sheen of the colors. So in this case, I used the red violet and the fluorescent violet for the stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that for you. All right.
Now, while you're setting up, I did have a quick question. How long do these acrylics stay open and kind of mixable and like workable?
So they dry pretty quickly compared to our other lines of paints. They're relatively the same with the exception of the open, which stays wet much longer. But given your environment, you know, maybe 20 minutes or so, they'll be completely dry.
Very cool, very cool.
All right, so here we're going to use light molding paste. We're going to mix that light molding paste with a color and stencil it on. So first, I'm going to mix that up. We'll scoop out some of the light molding paste. And then we'll introduce the color. And in this case, we're using the dark green. And you'll see that this incorporates pretty easily into the color. Again, you can kind of get a sense of the consistency. See it running there? All right, so let's go ahead and mix that up. I'm just going to incorporate that into the light molding paste. And we have a list of products that we recommend that you can mix with these. You can find that list on justpaint.org, and I'll review it as soon as we finish this demo. So here I've incorporated the SoFlat green into the light molding paste. I've prepared my board. This board has been painted with the SoFlat Mars Yellow Deep. And I'm simply going to apply my stencil on there. And then I'm going to use a larger palette knife and I'll get that material on there. We'll simply apply that across the stencil and then pull that across there. Of course, I would work to complete the whole stencil, but you can see if I pull that up, then I have the design on there. So all of the products can be, or excuse me, all of the colors can be mixed. And the ones that we recommend, of course, would be light molding paste. And that's the one I just demoed. That's this product. Fiber paste. And the reason that we recommend these, this is the fiber paste. The reason that we recommend these is they have the least impact on the sheen. Fine pumice gel is the other one. And then our crackle paste. Next, we have our pastel ground. And I have a skin made of this, which I'll show you later. And then our color pouring medium. And that is the matte. And so we recommend those along with the super matte medium. This is the last one, the super matte medium. We recommend those as the primary ones to have the least impact on sheen. And again, we can mix soft gel gloss or any other product with that. Just remember, it will change the sheen, so it will be glossy compared to matte. All right. Another possibility is making skins with the acrylic. So here we've used the fluorescent red to make a skin, and we've also used the permanent yellow deep to make a skin. And we simply spread the wet product on a piece of high density plastic, a sheet protector, and then we can peel that off. And you'll see the side that is down on the paper or down on the plastic is gloss, and this side is matte. And this is great if you want to use it as a collage element, or you can use soft pastel or chalk pastel on there, and even charcoal. So there we have charcoal. So you get nice toothiness with that matte because it has a little bit of tooth as it dries from the silica. So it's great for doing drawing media as well.
Now, would the drawing element with those skins, would that still be the same on the other side that's glossy?
Yes, you can. If it won't have quite as much of a tooth on this side, but you can see it'll still hold a line. It's just the where the paint makes contact with the plastic, it tends to be a lot shinier than if we flip it over to this side, you'll see it's a lot more matte. And I can use this kind of like a collage element. I could cut this with scissors. I could glue it onto my canvas. I could draw on it. If I'm going to glue it on the canvas, I'd probably use something like a soft gel, and I could use gloss or matte. Because I'm working with matte, I might in particular use the matte with this. All right, so we've covered lots of possibilities for mixing. This one is the fluorescents, and as I talked about, the fluorescents aren't not as opaque as the other ones. Here I put out the teal so you can see the teal, and a little black line so you can see that they are a little more transparent, but we've gone ahead and also mixed them with our micaceous iron oxide. So the fluorescents mixed with the micaceous iron oxide also give you this nice toothiness. Just like the other ones, they hold a real nice pencil line. So you can mix these with all of our products. Just know that it will impact the sheen and or the texture. All right. As I talked about earlier, we have two sets. One is the pop set and one is the Zing set. And so we'll take a look at each of these. Besides the 40 colors, you have these two sets. And again, they come with a little color chart inside and 6 colors in these 2-ounce containers. As I said earlier, SoFlat is also available in a 4-ounce and available in the larger 16-ounce. All right, so the colors that come in the pop set are our ultramarine blue, our permanent green, cadmium primrose, naphthol red light, titanium white, and the black. And what that looks like, painted out in a little color wheel, a little color study with those. We have the naphthol red right here, the cad primrose, the green, our blue, white, and the black. And then we just, besides the mass tone here of each of the colors, we've gone ahead and done a little grayscale, adding about 25% of the black to each of the colors. And then we've also done the same in white, creating a little tint. And again, about 25% white to each of those colors. Here's a color wheel showing you the range that you can get with secondary and tertiary colors, just with these colors in the set, and introduction of a little bit of white to each one. So it really expands the number of color possibilities for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Zing set. That's the Zing set. And in the Zing set, we also have 6 colors. We have a yellow-green, bismuth vanadate yellow, a red-violet, a teal, a naphthol pink, and a cadmium orange. And again, we've painted those out on a little board. Mass tone down the center. And then we also did another tint and shade. And again, 25% black to the color, 25% white to the color. So again, just with those 6, expanding the range of the colors with the introduction of black and white. A color wheel with the secondaries on there. And then one of the things I'm going to demonstrate is using it kind of like water media as well. So this is the pop set. And so we've done each of the colors down the side and we simply mix them with themselves across the top. So the lower half is kind of the mass tone from the secondary mixing. And this upper half is kind of the watered down, more like gouache or acrylic gouache. Then this is the Zing set, same idea. Colors down the side, colors across the top. We mix them together and then also use the water in dilution to create kind of a gouache. And here we've mixed all the colors together, again, showing you the range. If you just get the 2 sets, this is the pop colors and the Zing colors mixed with each other. So again, a huge variety of blues, greens, and yellows, secondary and tertiary colors. So let's look at using one of these kind of like water media. Here I have a panel. This was a pre-primed panel and we've covered it with light molding paste. And so I'm just going to apply a little bit of color with a brush. So this is the orange, the cadmium orange. I'm just applying that across the light molding paste. The light molding paste is very textured. So you'll see how that color kind of skips across the texture. Now, if I introduce a little bit of water, you can see how I can let that color down and create really a very nice watery effect with any of the colors. And again, this is on the light molding paste. So you can, for illustrators, great watercolor artists who want to do something in acrylic, you could do a gouache effect. Let's move that. Another surface to work on is the coarse molding paste. Again, if you wanted to do something in the water media. I'll pre-wet this surface. The coarse molding paste is very textured. If I use a pencil on that, you should be able to kind of hear that. You can hear how rough and textured that surface is, but is great to do kind of a watery wash on there. So this is the fluorescent red. So we're going to do a little bit of wash on there. And we can introduce even a second color. Here we'll put a little teal on there. And again, we don't recommend maybe more than 15 to 25% water to let these down. If you go to justpaint.org, there's a couple of articles that go over those, but you can see I can get, just by introducing water, I can really get these to run and flow across that surface. And what makes this nice with the light molding paste or the coarse molding paste is you have so much texture to work with.
Now, somebody did ask this, and I know we have the material specialists in the chat right now answering these questions, but just to make sure that we have these things answered for when we upload this back to YouTube, the difference between this SoFlat Acrylics and a traditional gouache. This isn't a traditional gouache, yes?
No, this is not a traditional gouache. This is an acrylic. When it's dry, it's bonded to the surface. You can let it down with water if you wanted to use it for illustration or water media, but it's not a gouache. All right, let's switch that out to a little bit of airbrush. So on this particular panel, this is the black panels that we received from Jerry's. And so we've done airbrush on here using, I think these were embroidery screens, and we simply sprayed it on there. Again, if you go to justpaint.org, we have a couple of formulas on there. This was about 4 parts of paint to about 2 parts of retarder and 1 part of water. But again, you can find those formulas on justpaint.org. On this one, as I said, you can use the super matte medium to thin out the acrylics or change the texture of them. And in here, I just used the super matte medium as a glaze, and I've just washed over it with a little bit of black. So again, SoFlat Colors painted on the Jerry's black canvas. And then we did a wash using the super matte, or glaze, excuse me, using the super matte medium and a little bit of black.
Now going back to the one where you had the I'm sorry, the airbrush.
Yes.
Can you also use these with a mouth atomizer?
You can, again, go to justpaint.org. We have a couple of articles on there. You could use them with an atomizer. You want ventilation, and you want to make sure you're working, in an adequately ventilated space. Okay?
Very cool.
So besides just painting with it and spraying with it, you can also use it in refillable markers. And in this particular case, we've used a little bit of the retarder. Again, about it's 3 to 1. So we did 3 parts of paint, 1 part of retarder, and 1 part of water. And we put them in these refillable markers. You can get these refillable markers just about anywhere. And you just fill the cylinder with paint. They come with little marbles or agitators, so you can shake them up. In this one, I've already mixed up using the SoFlat titanium white. I put in about 1 part of retarder and 1 part of water to 3 parts of the white paint. Mix that up, and then you carefully pour it into the markers. So this one is a chisel tip marker. We can demo that. So you can see it flows really well. And this has been in here for about a week and it hasn't clogged. If you find that the felt tip clogs a little bit, you can wash it with a little soap and water. This is using the ultramarine blue SoFlat with a little bit of the white. Again, same proportion of retarder to water. And again, this one's been in about 2 weeks. They can see without much effort, you get really nice mark making there. So refillable markers, spraying and painting. And for painting, to do a little hard edge, we use a little low-tack release tape. So any brand of low-tack release tape. And in this case, we're going to use a little bit of our fluid matte medium. And so this was kind of my maquette. I sketched this out to decide how my painting's going to look. And then on the wood panel, you can see I've started painting that out on that wood panel. What I want to do is apply my tape and then a little bit of matte medium. So if you want to do, a large area and you want to do a real nice hard edge, I just kind of line that tape up along my leading edge. And you can see that's what I've done through all of these other colors. I've taped all of these off. And so once I have my tape down, here I'm going to use a little bit of our fluid matte medium. And I'm going to take that fluid matte medium, and I'm just going to brush a little bit along that leading edge of the tape. And I don't need a lot. What I'm doing is essentially sealing the surface of my panel and my tape, just creating a little bit of barrier so that paint can't flow under there. And you can see it's a very thin coat. Probably very hard to see on camera, but you don't need a lot, just a real thin coat, and give that a good 15 or 20 minutes to dry. And then you can go ahead and paint. I'm going to switch to a different panel and show you. So this panel's already been painted and I've put the tape on. I've sealed this with the matte medium. Again, I just used a small brush and I just brushed it along the leading edge. And now I'm going to go ahead and paint this. And this was using the whole color combination on this particular one was using the Zing set. So I'm just going to take a little bit. This is the same color. Paint this out. And you'll see by doing this, you'll see there is a shift in wet to dry. So this is the red violet. And then a nice even coat across that surface. You can see this is the wet, and then here it is dry. So there is a color shift from wet to dry. And let me grab a corner of this and I can peel this up so you can see while this is still wet. So I'm just going to peel that back and you can see right there, a nice crisp edge, just using a little bit of that matte medium to seal that.
Now, would you recommend peeling the tape off while it's still wet, or does it matter if it dries or?
I like to do it while it's wet, but you could let it dry. I prepped this panel a week ago, so this tape has been on there for about a week. So it doesn't really matter, I suppose, but I like to do it when it's wet. And again, I'm going to go ahead and peel this one off. And then, so you get the idea. So a little bit of matte medium on the low-tech tape, and you can create a really nice, tight, smooth edge. So if you wanted to do hard edge painting, that would be one easy way to do it. A little low-tech tape and a fluid matte medium, and then you peel that off. You don't need a lot of matte medium. As I said, I used a small brush and just brushed it on there. All right, let me switch this one out. All right. So talking about the sheen, I wanted to go over that again. We have had a couple of questions about that before. So you can mix any of the SoFlat acrylics with any of our other lines of acrylic. So for example, this is our phthalo blue in our fluid and high flow. I can mix that with our heavy body or our fluids, and you'll see I've done that on this one. This is the color by itself, the SoFlat, and then here is our 4 other lines, and then I've gone ahead and mixed it. So you can see there's a big difference in the sheen from the SoFlat to our heavy body, our fluid, our open, and our high flow. And the same is true if you're going to mix it with any of our pastes or our gels. In this case, I put down the cerulean blue first, went over it with soft gel and a stencil. And you can see the reverse here. On this one, I used the cerulean blue last and the soft gel first. And then these are the 2 colors by themselves. All right. This one shows you the colors that or the products that we recommend mixing with. I'll turn it this way. So light molding paste, our fiber paste, our pumice, our crackle, our pastel brown, and our color pouring medium, and our super matte medium. And on the panel, I'll show you this with the super matte medium. So let's put out a little bit of this. Is our naphtha pink. So I'll just put a little on here. And again, it gives you a kind of an idea for the consistency. And here is my super matte medium. I'm going to put some of that next to it. So if you wanted to control the viscosity, this is what we recommend, the super matte medium. It has the least impact on the sheen. And I can go ahead and mix these together. And you see they incorporate really easily. Again, has the least impact on the sheen and kind of maintains the same texture. If I wanted to introduce some water, even with the medium in there, I can do that. You can see I can really let that down quite a bit. And you get a really good coverage. Again, this is on the light molding paste for texture. I can mix the colors or I can apply them on top. The coarse molding paste. This is the coarse molding paste. And again, we have applied the color on there and used it like water media. So I have a little bit of that naphtha pink with a little bit of the cad orange on there. Again, depending on what surface you're painting on will impact the matteness if you're letting it down with a lot of water. Again, we don't recommend anything much over 15 to 20%. If you're going to let it down, you can use it. You can use it in spray. And so here we've used a kind of a red and a yellow on the black canvas. And here we've used it in refillable markers. And again, we're using the retarder. Or you can use open thinner. And you can see we're just mixing those in the refillable markers. So essentially kind of three ways. You can mass painting, you can use it as airbrush, you can use it in refillable markers, and you can pretty much mix it with almost any other product. Here we mix it with our micaceous iron oxide to give us a nice toothy feel for charcoal and pencil. If you want to do hard edge painting and you want to tape it off, you can use our matte medium and some low release tape. That's what we've done here. So I've applied the tape, used a small brush, and applied my matte medium across this leading edge so that it has a chance to dry. This one's dry, so we'll go ahead and paint that one now. And then we can pull up the tape and you can kind of see, this is the black. I think that's our next color in the sequence. Again, goes on super smooth. Very minimal brush stroke. We recommend a soft synthetic brush. And didn't quite get my tape on the edge there, but that's all right. All right, so that matte medium was only on there for a few, maybe 10 minutes at the most. And we painted this wet. And we can go ahead and peel this off. So again, a nice tight edge there. Oop, I just drug my finger through the wet paint. Well, that happens. That's one thing. But a nice tight edge. You can look here, right here, a very tight, clean edge, just using the tape and the matte medium.
Now, before you jump away from that painting, real quick, just out of my own curiosity.
Yeah.
How easy would it be for you to go back and paint over that black smudge that you just put in there? Like, how opaque are these?
They're very opaque. All of them are rated opaque or semi-opaque. The ones that are the most translucent are the fluorescents, but even then the fluorescents are more opaque than across our other lines, the heavy body and the fluid.
So even if you guys do get a smudge like that, you can cover it up. It's okay.
Yes, I'll just give this a few minutes to dry and then I can go back and paint over where I drug my finger. All right, let me move that one out of the way and then I'll recap the sets. And here's the other one. This is the one that we painted with the Zing set. Make sure my fingers are clean. And I can go ahead and peel this one off. So again, a nice clean line with the low tack release tape and a little bit of the matte medium. Let me find my matte medium so I can show you. And there's really no preference. It's just whichever one you have on hand, fluid matte medium or matte medium. In the demo, I used fluid matte medium. but you could just as easily use the matte medium. Some folks use soft gel gloss too. I like, since I'm working with matte paints, I like to use the matte to go along with it. So again, low-tech tape, fluid matte medium, or matte medium to do the hard edge. And then you just peel the release tape off. All right, so let's recap the sets. We have this set, the pop set, and that comes with our ultramarine blue, the permanent green, the cad yellow, or excuse me, cadmium primrose, a black and a white. So if you're not, you don't want to make a huge investment and you want to start out and just do a little example, you can start out just getting one set, or you can get the other set, the Zing. This is the Zing set. This was using the pop. We just did a simple color wheel, introduced the white. And you can see here is each of the colors down the middle. And then I've mixed them with 25% white on this side and 25% on this side with the black. So creating a tint and shade. So again, a huge, just with 6 colors, a huge variation in color. If we take a look at the color studies we did, you can see here's the pop set, here's the Zing set. By mixing them with each other, we created a huge amount of variation in secondary and tertiary colors. If you want to let those down with a little bit of water, you can do more of a water media effect here. And then this is the mass tone just using the Zing mixing with itself. So all I've done is taking the naphtha pink, and I mixed it, of course, here with naphtha pink plus the bismuth vanadate yellow. I get this orange tone, and then so on. So you can see how I've done that all the way down. And then doing the water media effect, again, no more than 15 to 25% water. And this was using the pop set, again, mixing it with itself to create the mass tone, and then the watery version up here on the right-hand side. All right, I think that does it for us.
Now, someone was asking, would you be able to demonstrate the crackle medium by any chance?
The crackle paste?
Yeah.
It won't, so I can demo. I'll pull this board over and you can look. Here is the crackle paste mixed with the color. And what I'll do is mix it out on a board. So our crackle paste. And the reason I say I can mix it, but it will take quite a while for it to dry. So you won't actually see the crackle, but I can take us through the steps of mixing it.
Yeah, because as it dries, that's when it starts pulling.
Correct, as it dries. And that, of course, is all relative kind of to your environment, how much humidity is there, how dry, airflow. So this is the crackle paste. You can see it's smooth, kind of white, about the consistency of Cool Whip, very similar to our light molding paste. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce maybe, let's do, I have this one open. This is the naphtha pink. So we'll mix that together. And again, I'm not using a lot, maybe, a 1/4 teaspoon there. And then I can go ahead and just kind of fold that in. And it does tend to take the color to a more pastel tone. It does darken as it dries, but it's still lighter than the original. If I put a little bit out here. So there's the color, by itself. I've mixed it with our light mold or crackling paste, I'm sorry, mixed it with the crackling paste. So I would allow this to dry, and as it dries, it's going to develop cracks. You don't really have a lot of control over the cracks. The thinner it is, the finer those cracks are. And then, of course, the thicker, the bigger those little cells are. Mm-hmm. So when this dries, it will dry, similar to this with some sort of cracked pattern, but you'd have really not much control over how it cracks. Now, any other questions?
Yes, we actually do have a couple other questions. The light fastness of these. I know we have some fluorescence as well, but just in general, kind of what are the different light fast ratings?
Same light fastness ratings as most of all of our other colors. The main difference is the fluorescence again. The fluorescents are not as light fast. Any other question?
Yes, sorry, I'm trying to find.
Oh, that's all right.
Here it is. The pen and ink, would that work on those skins that you made?
The pen and ink. So let me pull up this skin so we can switch to that. So here I have two skins. It does have a bit of a tooth to it on the side that's up as it dries compared to the side that's in contact with plastic. So it does have a little tooth. If I just go ahead and pull out, maybe on this one, I can get, obviously other SoFlat or other paint to stick to it. If I water it down, you can see it's pretty transparent. And so I would say I would do a couple of experiments. I don't know, we've not tried pen and ink on our skins, but you certainly could experiment and see. The one concern I would have would be they're probably not going to, they'll smear if they get wet. So that would be one possibility.
Which makes sense. And I know some people were asking about the panels you were using, which are the DaVinci Pro panels, correct?
Yes, correct. This one was the birch wood panel.
And that with gesso, yeah?
Yeah, and that's this one here. And we just put 2 coats of gesso on there. And then I've just applied some of the paint. The other one, was the 2 black panels that you sent us, the black canvas. These were canvas. And then this is the one, also that's the DaVinci. Again, this one was pre-gessoed, so I just put some tape around it and then applied our light molding paste.
Wonderful. And I think that's about all the questions. If you guys do have questions, feel free to stick them in the chat, of course, because we would be happy to go over them, as we, as they come in. And if we miss any, we can always go back and answer them on the Facebook Live or even YouTube.
And you can always email us here at help@goldenpaints.com. And we'll put the hashtags in the email then. So help@goldenpaints.com if you have questions. Again, we've talked extensively about the SoFlat colors, 2 particular sets, Pop and Zing. And here's a little color chart to go over the colors.
Now, I just wanted to say one more time, though, thank you, Kevin, for being here. This was amazing. I know a lot of people are so excited about this acrylic paint, and they've all just been saying this has just been an awesome demonstration. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Thank you.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
And remember, it's a lot. We covered a lot of different things. So if you have questions, email us. The main thing to remember, SoFlat acrylics, more matte, more flats, less reflective.
Yes, so everybody make sure you hit that like button and share this video with your friends, just to kind of share this knowledge and what these amazing paints can do. And of course, the more like buttons that you hit, the more this is going to be shared with other artists. Now, make sure if you do any art with this, though, to put it on our social media. We have Instagram. You can tag Jerry's Artarama, which I know we have Jerry's Artarama of Raleigh or of Nashville. Those are individual stores. Make sure to tag just the account that's Jerry's Artarama. You can also tag me, which is misscakes.art. And if you're on Facebook, there is the Jerry's Live group page, which is a huge community of artists, and we all get together to promote each other and just kind of come together to share our art and knowledge, and maybe ask questions if you're not sure. But it's a really wonderful community. You do have to answer one question to get in, just to make sure that you're not a robot. But that's the only thing you have to do to get into that community. The other thing you can do is also post it to my Facebook post page, which is Emmy, host of Jerry's Live. And of course, I know you, Kevin, also have your hashtags.
Yes,
we also do the hashtag JL192, so we can also search that term and find it.
Yes, we have hashtag at Golden Paints, hashtag Golden SoFlat, and hashtag share with Golden. So if you create something with the SoFlat, we'd love to see it. Hashtag it, share with Golden.
Yep, and that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week, because I'm going to be doing oil painting, mixing of skin tones, which is going to be so much fun. So I hope to see you all there. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.